Going up, it's just, you're constantly wondering if you're going too hard and if you're going to die. So, like they say, it's an ultimate mental battle.
Is that what keeps bringing you back year after year, the ultimate mental battle?
Yeah, I don't care what racers show up, even if somebody shows up better than me, This is a test against yourself. Everybody that's out here is doing it, and everybody's testing themselves, and it's great.
It's called America's Ultimate Challenge. Each year, over 2,500 runners flock to Manitou Springs to challenge themselves against the mountain known as Pikes Peak. This year, runners from 46 different states and 8 foreign countries have come. They all start here and make their way towards the clouds.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live.
Kieren Nay, welcome back to the Steep Stuff Podcast. How's it going, buddy?
Oh, hey, James. Thanks for having me back. Appreciate it.
Oh, dude, it's so good to catch up with you, man. Every time I talk to you, it reminds me of like Monument, and I think of like it's like nostalgia. I don't know. It's weird.
Are you not in Monument anymore?
No, I moved. We're down in old Colorado City.
Okay.
So, yeah, just by like Red Rocks. Oh, I shouldn't tell this on the podcast, but yeah, we're we are in Colorado Springs now.
Cool. That's awesome. That's a great spot. Really, cool trails down there, but yeah, Monument's pretty special.
It's a special place, man.
It's really cool stuff.
Dude, how have you been? You've been you got to mix it up this year. You did some Broken Arrow, and then you went and got on the podium of Grand Traverse. Like you've been doing some really exciting and fun things, and now we're here talking about Pikes. But how has the shape of the season gone for you so far?
Yeah, it's been good. I started the year. I did a lot of volume this winter, a lot of stuff on skis, and kept more running in during the winter than I normally do, which was pretty fun. It was a lot of 2-hour uphill runs on the treadmill and stuff like that. Raced a little bit on the skis, and then started off. I ran at GoPro and Broken Arrow, and was kind of sick good bit of April and most of May. So I really didn't have the best build going into Broken Arrow, which I feel like I always feel that way. It's pretty early season. But those races weren't great. But came back home and kind of went back to the drawing board, and I've had since coming back from Broken Arrow, had a really good, pretty consistent build into Speed Goat, which is really fun. I think I was 15th there, ran a 5:55, which given my performance at Broken Arrow, I was pretty happy with that, because I just didn't have a great race at Broken Arrow. So I was pretty happy with that. And then I ran Grand Traverse 2.5 weeks ago. For those of you who don't know, that's a 40-mile race that runs from Crested Butte up and over Star Pass across the mountains into Aspen. So I live in Gunnison, and that's kind of the hometown race now. And I've lived here for this will be my 8th winter, and I've never done that race before. So it was cool to get to do the local race. I think it was Will Murphy showed up. He was second at Black Canyon this year. I had no idea who he was. So I kept trying to drop him on the Star Pass climb, and he didn't drop and went on to win and break the course record. But I was pretty happy with a second place finish there. And been mixing up with some longer stuff, and excited to come back to Pikes Peak and run the Ascent again.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Let's talk about some of the longer stuff. I mean, it's kind of neat to see you kind of change from, I mean, for always you'd been for the last like, several years. Like it was always a Broken Arrow, 23K, Broken Arrow VK, a lot of the shorter stuff. Obviously you still race Broken Arrow this year, but going up to races like Speed Goat, which is a bit, as far as like hourage wise, it's a much longer race than something like a Broken Arrow 23K. Same with the Grand Traverse. It's a, what is it, a 40 mile or 40 something mile race?
Yeah, it's 40.
40. So how has that transition been for you trying to do some of these longer stuff? Have you really enjoyed it, or
It's been, yeah, it's been really good. I have found myself really enjoying the training and the racing for that. I think I always kind of saw myself as doing longer stuff, but for a long time I didn't really have much success. And so I just sort of stuck to what I felt like I was really good at. And I feel like just developing and maturing as an athlete that I've really come to enjoy the mastery element of these longer races where quite a bit of there's quite a bit of like logistics to figure out, and there are all these different variables that you're kind of interfacing with. And the race itself, a lot of it is about where you're going to spend your effort and controlling for things and problem solving. And I've really enjoyed those races where it's like you have 6 hours to like work on people, and you get to sort of be in this like, no one moment is this like particularly hard thing. It's a different kind of racing than what I'm used to, where it's just everything you have redlining for 2 hours versus like, okay, actually, I am going to take it a little easier on this climb or this descent, and there's a strategy to that. And then seeing that play out, I do think those races can be a little bit more strategic than, say, a VK, where if you let people go off the front, you're not going to see them again. Something like GT, I think I was like 9th place, like 10 miles in, and just worked up to the field. And I like those kind of races where you can have the space and the time to kind of work on people, and the rate limiter is not your like upper end speed, but more around your durability and your ability to continue to fuel and to move efficiently across terrain over a long distance. I've really enjoyed that transition.
Interesting. That's so cool. I'm glad you're enjoying it, man. What of it like piques your interest as far as like races go? Is there any races that stand out to you, like Black Canyon or something like that are like, oh, I'm doing that next year? Like anything in particular that you're gonna go hit?
Yeah, I think I'm at a point with running where I kind of want to go see cool places and do races that, one, I feel like maybe suit me, and and two, that I kind of enjoy. I don't really feel a huge drive to go run like a Black Canyon or something like that. We have the San Juan Solstice 50 miler, which runs out of Lake City, and that's a backyard race for me. I'm like 40 minutes from the course. Something like that would be really cool to do. I do want to go to OCC this next year. So I have some plans to try and qualify into that. I think that would be really cool. And I spent some time over there last summer and just really loved the area and the mountains, and would love to become more familiar with that landscape. Other than that, I think, there's a lot of really great races that are more local, that don't involve flying or traveling a bunch, that I really have enjoyed doing, like the Grand Traverse or Pikes Peak. I think as the sport continues to grow, there's certainly this impetus to travel to every race. And, you can live in Colorado, but you only ever race in California or in Europe. And I think we've got pretty cool mountains here and a pretty cool scene here. And just because it's not on a circuit doesn't mean it's not a race that's worth doing. So I like the UTMB stuff. I think that there's a good track with that as far as getting exposure. And I think, given that I'm kind of in this mountain 50K to 50 mile phase, I think OCC is kind of the pointy end of the spear, and that's where you want to go. So I'd love to have that experience, but for the most part, I think I want to kind of see and test myself at races that have some history, that have, a connection to the place that I live in. There's so many cool races in Colorado. Like Imogene Pass is another good example.
Ooh, that's another good one.
So there's lots of races like that attract a good field and are, big historic races that are really cool and close to home that you can have a really meaningful experience at. And I'd include Pikes Peak in that sort of assessment. So, it's maybe not necessarily just like the longer races per se. I think that those have been kind of cool events to sort of explore. But more races that have some history, that have been around for a little while, that, feel compelling, where the courses are cool and they're in a cool place and it's not insane to try and get out there.
I love it. I love it. You have a lot of history with Pikes Peak, man, being from the Greater Springs area. I know I've asked you this question before, but I feel like for new audience members who might have not listened to your first episode, can you talk about like what makes this race so special to you?
Yeah, so I grew up in the Pikes Peak area. We lived in the Springs for quite a while and then moved up to Monument, which is about 20 minutes north, when I was about 6. So I spent like the whole, my whole childhood was in that region, looking up at that mountain. It was kind of the, just a constant presence there up in the clouds. And it's this really unique mountain for Colorado where you start at 6,000 feet and you go up to 14. And so just the size of the terrain, the fact that it is the highest peak for a very long distance, it's very prominent, has a ton of vertical relief. It's this really cool mountain and feature to begin with that really defines the city and the surrounding area. It gives it a lot of its character. And then it was also the first really competitive trail race that I ever did. I knew probably when I was about 15 or 16 that mountain and trail running was really what I was good at, and 2 what I wanted to do. And this was at a time when it was not a very popular thing. It was not something people were getting into at a younger age, at least in the States. And I did a year on a cross country team here in Gunnison at Western. Really, enjoyed that experience, but left that to pursue trail running. And the Pikes Peak Ascent in 2019 was the first real like competitive trail race that I did. And I think I was 20 years old. I was in 3rd place until the last like 2 miles. I think I finished like 5th or something. I was 5th that year. And it was this like really cool thing to go to this race that on this mountain, I'd known about it forever growing up. To do it, to have success there, and to have it be like the launching point of my mountain running career. It's always been a really meaningful race, and it's funny, I really haven't run particularly faster than that first one since I started. I think I ran like a 2:27 that year, and I think the fastest I've ever run on the mountain is like 2:21. So would love to finally get under 2:20 this year, but it's this really cool place that I've come back to year after year. And it's, it's the same course, it's the same mountain. Weather and conditions can kind of vary, but for the most part, it's this benchmark. And that's certainly a race that I would classify as being a lot less strategic. And, there's some races where I think you can lean on your experience and these other things to kind of maybe fill in some fitness gaps. If there's more technical terrain, or there are places where you're strong, where you can make some distance and you've got enough time to wear people down. Pikes Peak is not that. Pikes Peak is total red line from the gun to the top. And you have to go to if you're going to do well there, it's going to be probably one of the most difficult races you're on all year. And if you're even pulled back 2 or 3%, you're going to lose a bunch of time on the upper mountain. And so it's this really like honest and brutal race that I think demands everything of you if you want to do well, which is really cool. And I love going there. I love the crowd that it draws and the field that it draws. And, in past years, it's been very international, and people that I've known from racing in Europe are telling me it's the highest they've ever been, and they're like, "This is so cool." And so yeah, it's a cool thing to be a part of. It's really emblematic of the place I grew up, and it's fun to go back every year and give it a shot.
Dude, that's a beautiful answer, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I gotta ask you, as being a young gun, being a kid growing up here, and realizing at a young age you wanted to get into mountain running, who were and this is something I never asked you before, like who were your heroes at a young age in the sport? Like, did you like discover Anton and were like, oh my God, that's so cool? But like Matt Carpenter, like, were you aware of like of who he was back in the day? Okay.
Yeah, I remember reading all the Wikipedia articles about Matt Carpenter and his insane VO2 max and some of the urban legends around his like workouts and what he would do. I remember reading all the old Anton Kuprichka blogs, which I don't know if those are still up anymore, but it was all like the crazy training that he would do around the springs. I remember like Stevie Kramer and her run, and it's funny, she lives in this valley, so I see her around occasionally, and I don't think she has any idea who I am, but it was this really, yeah, I think growing up there, like Joe Gray was also someone who I knew when I got into running. I knew who he was from mountain running and Team USA and times on the incline and things like that. And it was really cool. Like, I remember that first summer that I really pursued trail running, like he and I basically had the same schedule and got to know him a bit. And he was just really, one, just an incredible athlete to look up to, and two, like this really, kind of great like mentor, and was really gracious with a lot of things. And yeah, I mean, Colorado Springs is a great place to. There's definitely people I'm forgetting in this list. But the Springs is a really great place to grow up if you're into mountain running, because there are a lot of really, really great athletes who base out of there.
Yeah, it's such a special place, man.
Yeah.
This race is so special. I think that's like one of the things that I just want so much for the race in the next few years. Is like, how do we just continue to build the fan base and get the community involved and get people excited about, what this race is and the tradition and the history here? And because it's already like one of the most iconic races on the planet. But I think I want that Zagama / like Zirizanal level people on the course cheering with cowbells, like we that's what I want to see. So,
I'd love to see that. And, if you could arrange to get like, have the city sponsor it and have like free tram rides up and, like fan zone and, lowering the barriers to access, I think that you could maybe get more people out there. It's hard to replicate that European culture of mountain sports and endurance sports and the way they care about it. It's just different. But it would be so cool to see, have that whole golden staircase just be lined with people, revving chainsaws and stuff like you get the big races in Europe. Sierras and all being one of them. That's a crazy atmosphere. It'd be cool to see anything close to that in the States. Although I will say, like, Speed Goat had a pretty good atmosphere.
Did it?
They had a free tram up to the top, that big sky tram. And so I think when you don't charge people to get up there, you're going to have more people up there. And I think that kind of creates a bit of that atmosphere. So if you have any sway with the city of Colorado Springs, maybe if we can get some tram rides up.
We'll see. I'm not that influential yet. Maybe in another year. But I don't know. Maybe people on the board are. So that's something that I hope to do in 2026. Like, that's what I want to see, is like some sort of have maybe two of them, one on the Golden Stairs and then one on at bar camp, like make bar camp like a giant party and just go wild.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, it would be cool. All right, let's talk performance-wise and Pikes itself. Last year, you ran yourself 8th place, ran 2:26:43. You've had some amazing finishes at this race. Like, you have really, like, you're very consistent on this mountain. What do you expect for this year? I know it's always hard to tell because it's always hard to tell like where fitness is and how you feel. You've been running a lot of longer stuff. So how have you tweaked in this build for something that's a little bit more short and a little bit more high octane?
Yeah, so I guess the context for this would be I was initially signed up to do the marathon because it would have fit in a lot more with GT Speed Goat style training. And I haven't run the marathon since I believe it was 2021. And I ran like a 4:01 or something. So it'd be really cool to go under 4 in that race. But I am on the team for the Continental Skyrunning Champs down at Reto Volcano in Mexico, in like Pico de Orizaba National Park. And that's like 3 weeks after the Ascent.
Okay.
So I kind of made the decision that doing the marathon was going to be, at least for me, I know some people who are doing that, but I know if I run the marathon as hard as I can, I'm going to be pretty useless for at least 2 weeks. And I kind of want to have a quality build going into Mexico, because that's a big race, super high altitude, and traveling and putting a lot into making that happen. And so Pikes Peak this year is certainly more of a workout, or maybe workout to sea race if I had to categorize it. So I haven't tweaked too much. I mean, I ran GT. I think I took like 3 days off, kind of jogged back, had like like a half week of like easy volume. And then I've been doing some like shorter hill repeats, like 1 to 2 minute hill repeats, with like longer, like hour-long uphill tempos, also kind of sprinkled in these past like 2 weeks. So trying to get on like the specific grade, because Pikes is very, very runnable. And I think it's easy. The 14ers around here are a little steeper, and it would be easy to get into like big hiking shape, which I don't think really helps you at Pikes. So we'll see. I mean, had a great long run 3 weeks ago. GT's 40 miles, and most of it was above 10,000 feet. And a lot of it's above the tree line. You're spending a couple hours running above the tree line and running pretty hard. So, there's a bit of stimulus there. Been sleeping up high on the weekends, 10, 11,000 feet when I can. And other than that, kind of training through this race. So we'll see. Like last year, I was coming off Sierras and all, and everything was super fast, uphill, focused and specific. And I ran what I would consider a pretty average time for me. I thought if any year I was going to have a breakout, it was going to be last year, just given training. And so this year, things are a lot less specific, doing more volume and kind of longer stuff. And who knows, maybe that'll be it. Or I'll run the exact same time, and I'm just a 220 to 225 guy no matter what, which is a fine time to be consistent at. But I'd love to get under 220. It'd be a really cool thing to be able to do that this year. So we'll see what happens. It's not the goal race for the year. I've got 2 other races after it, so it is kind of more of a workout for that race down in Mexico. But yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing for it. So
I love it. Talk about the skyrunning race. Like how did how did you get selected for it to be on this team? Talk about like what it's about, because it is like it's a championship. That's correct.
Yeah. So it's the North American Skyrunning Championships. For reference, that was at like the Bar Trail Mountain Race a couple years ago.
Okay.
So it's not the first time I've run it. I didn't know that Bar Trail was the Continental Championships that year. I think I was like ninth. But I do think it's becoming a bit more of an event. I know that skyrunning has really tried to kind of rally and rebuild. That said, like these teams are not super supported. It's not the same as like, the mountain running world champs team that's going off next week. So it is, I'd say it was a little bit more of they were looking for people, especially with everyone's schedules and seasons being pretty filled out. And my coach was connected with Travis Lavin, who I also know. He lives out in Reno, and he's kind of been the point person for the team. And she reached out and was like, you should consider doing this. And then I was like, okay, sure, I'll do it. And flights down to Puebla were only like $500. So
hell yeah.
It was pretty easy to pull the trigger on that. So I'll be going down there the second weekend in October. And that is a 40K. So it's about 20 miles. And it gets up to a little above 15,000 feet. 2 big climbs. It's actually a very similar profile to the Pikes Peak Marathon. So it's like a higher altitude Pikes Peak with slightly less mileage, and a lot of like kind of high altitude running between these two volcanoes, which should be super cool. And it's part of the world that I've never been to. So I'm excited to get down there and experience that. And it's technically a US team. So that's pretty cool. It's certainly not at the level of like the mountain running team, like a fully supported kind of thing. But it's still a cool opportunity. And, I've got some friends in Mexico from racing on Golden Trail years and years ago. So it'd be fun to see Abraham or Juan Carlos, any of those guys. We'll see who shows up, and that should be really fun. And I think Pikes Peak is probably about as good of a training run as you could have for something like that around here.
So cool. It's perfect for the build, man. Like Pikes Peak works amazing for something like this.
Yeah.
Awesome. Dude, I love to hear it, man. I'm so excited to follow along in this race and hear more about it. Like I've heard amazing. I've been to Mexico. I've never been to like Mexico City or down to the Orizaba area, and it's definitely high on my list. Like that, just culturally, food wise, like everything about Mexico is so cool. So I'm so jealous.
I'm really excited to. I've never been. Excited to go down there, and then going down to Chile and Argentina for the Bariloche UTMB race in November. So those are kind of the 2 A races.
This south.
Is the race. It's all about, I need to brush up on my Spanish. And by that, I mean learn any Spanish. But yeah, so that'll be kind of the rest of the season. So Pikes Peak fits in this as more of a workout and a primer, but also getting to come back to, a local race that means a lot to me. And that, I've only missed 1 year since that first year I ran it because I was injured. And it's just cool to show up and, the same volunteers from year to year, and it's people that I grew up with, and, it's cool to come back and still have that connection to that place. So yeah, excited for it.
One last question. You have a new resident in the Gunnison Valley, Mr. Brian Whitfield. Have you guys been able to, has he been a training partner since he's been out here?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So cool.
We were friends in college on the mountain sports trail running team here at Western. And then he was living in Colorado Springs for a while.
Yeah.
I've, been here for almost 8 years now. And he moved back in June, and he's actually working at the university. We work in the same department, so we're coworkers now.
So funny. I love that.
Awesome. We'll get to, we'll wake up early on a weekday and go drive up to CV South and run a big loop or something, and then come back down, get in the office, and have a meeting or something. So it's really cool working together and training together. And Brian is, one, just a great person, and two, like probably one of the most talented athletes I've ever met. I mean, he's an incredible runner and just so strong, and his ceiling is so high. His ability to go from like on the couch having run in 2 weeks to like world-class shape in like a 10-week block is pretty singular. So he'll be racing this weekend. We've been doing some workouts and some runs together. Our training overlaps a little bit, and we'll try to do like long runs and stuff. But yeah, great to have him here, and excited to keep training together. And he's a great addition. So we've got a good little group here between Jacob Dewey and Brian and myself, the 3 of us. All good friends, all known each other forever, and we train together quite a bit. And so it's cool to like try to be creating a bit of a training group here in the Valley for upper level mountain runners. I mean, there's a lot of great people here, like Bosch Walio, he won GT last year. Cam Smith obviously lives in the Valley. Joe and DeLeon lives in the Valley. So we've got like some heavy hitters, and it would be fun to kind of organize a bit more of like a crew for that,
Gunnison Cowboys or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Yeah, I've had ideas knocking around in my head about that for years and years and years. It'd be really cool to get a little group together and do some media stuff. And, then it's tough because you always have the question of like everyone's training is so different. And so like, how do you really get it to be like a group thing? But, I think organizing a run once a week where everyone shows up, something like that would be really awesome.
So cool.
Yeah, it's a cool place.
Dude, I love it. Well, listen, Kieran, wishing you the absolute best of luck on race day, man. I hope it's an amazing day for you. Definitely, I'm just gonna be cheering you on, and I can't wait to learn more about this race in October, and wishing you the best of luck at that as well.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks so much, James. And we'll see you out there, and hopefully it's a good day and we get under 220. That'd be really awesome.
Oh, absolutely, man. Appreciate you. Thank you, man.
Yep. Thank you.
Yep.